Hey guys, if you're headed to Ireland, I have got some great packing tips for you, so tune in. Okay, so packing for Ireland can be a little bit complicated because the weather is so funky. I mean, it just turns on a dime. You're on an island and you're on the middle of the ocean. So the weather can go from sunshine to pouring rain to sideways rain to crazy winds in just seconds. So you really have to be prepared every time that you go out for the changes in the weather. So let's dig into my checked bag first. So there's a couple things that that I'm gonna mention that I use in every single time that I pack. And that's the packing cubes and the vacuum sealed bags. The packing cubes I love. They come in lots of different sizes. Just go right on Amazon, look up the packing cubes. They've got these in different packs, so you can buy a pack of 3 or 5, or you can just buy them individually if you just want one in particular for whatever. But these are great because I use them as basically as like compartments or drawers to keep certain items in, and that helps me to keep my packing, make it more sensible because we're on the road so much. We travel year round. This is an easy way for me to remember and make it seem more like normal when I'm moving around. But these are also great for everybody if you're traveling because you can it helps to compress your clothing, but the bags helps even more with compressing the clothing. These bags are vacuums, like I said, vacuum sealed bags, but they do not require the vacuum at all to use these, so you don't have to have an extra piece or item with you at all times. All I do is I fold the items. These are short sleeve shirts. I fold them and then I fold the bag and I usually set it down and then I press, and then usually I sit on it with my knees down. And then I take the little clip and with my knees still on the bag, slide it all the way across, and then that seals it in there and it's airtight. It's fantastic. So that's a good way to do that. So I've got a couple of bags here in this compartment, and this cube is of shirts. I layered up a lot, so I have several shirts because the weather was gonna be I knew the weather was gonna be so crazy in Ireland. I also brought extra because if you do get like soaking wet, you don't want to be standing around in really wet clothes for a long time. So I always brought some extra things as well when we were out hiking and things like that. In case it rained, then we'd have something to change into. This cube here, I keep all of my undergarments. We were in Ireland for about 2 weeks. I had about 10 days worth of undergarments with me, of underwear and socks and things like that. And so we did have washers in our Airbnbs, and so we were able to do laundry. So I only bought about 10 days worth of stuff, but if you're gonna be there only for a week, then maybe I would say just do a week's worth. This is my toiletry bag here. I love this toiletry bag. I've actually had it for about 10 years, which is crazy. And why are we even talking about a toiletry bag? Because they are important, okay? This is actually always is ready to go. So if you said to me, hey, we're going on a trip tomorrow, this is the first thing I grab because it is already packed. It already has everything that I need in it at all times. I have the travel size of everything in here. Another little travel tip that I use now, the great thing about this bag is it does have a vinyl lining, so if anything leaks, you can just wipe it right up. It dries easily. It does not soak into the cloth outer part of the bag. The trick that I use is if you've got liquids like this, what I do is I take a piece of plastic and I put it right onto the top after I've taken the lid, then take the lid and screw it over the plastic, and that's gonna help give you a better chance for it not to leak, okay? And then I just clip my hair clip right on there because that keeps it there and it keeps it from breaking. I've lost many hair clips, don't get me started. So there's that. Let's take a look at this side. Now, I said Ireland has pretty crazy weather, right? So we have to be prepared for that. So this actually was a great thing for me is I layered up several long sleeve items and then I put this down vest on top of that. Yeah, you're gonna look really poofy in every single picture that you take, but you're gonna be warm, okay? If your core is warm, then your body's going to be warm. So make sure that's the most important part in Ireland. And this is also rainproof as waterproof as well. So the rain just, you know, trickle right on off of there. So that's really nice because it's not gonna soak into your clothing and you're not gonna get soaking wet all the way through. So make sure you've got something that's gonna protect you from the rain. The other thing that I had, other jacket option besides having that vest and layering up, if I wanted to wear something a little bit lighter, I had, you saw out of this little bag is this little bit thinner, but it's a down jacket, still warm, and you can still layer inside if you wanted to, but that was another option, and I brought it because it had the sleeves and the hood on it. So if the weather looked like, oh, tomorrow it's gonna rain all day, but we still have to go out, then this is a good option because it'll keep you protected and you won't have, you know, you won't be all wet. One thing I do when I travel is I never put my pajamas into one of the bags or compartments because like when we arrived in Ireland, when we went on our trip, we got there really late at night. And by the time we got to our Airbnb, I was exhausted. So I always keep these out because I open the bag and I don't have to look for or open anything. I grab my pajamas and I'm ready to go. So I like to have them super handy. So those never go into a bag. That's just my own little thing, my own little quirk. In Ireland, you basically just need some sneakers. Just know that your feet are gonna get wet. So another thing is to bring an extra pair of socks with you when you go out so that if it does rain, which is very likely every single time that you go out, make sure that you have that extra pair of socks so that you can swap them out and at least your feet won't be so cold all the time and wet from all of the rain. And then we had also some thermals with us and some more long sleeve shirts, gloves, and a knit hat. Now my knit hat is lined on the inside. The reason why this is important is that if you're wearing a knit hat, you've put a knit hat on before, the wind is gonna break right through, and there's a lot of wind in Ireland, okay? Again, you're on an island, so it's just swirling around. If you've got a knit hat with a lining, that's going to protect you so your head's not going to get cold. This one was perfect. I got this one on Amazon for just a few dollars. It was fantastic. And then the gloves, also lined gloves, those are going to keep your hands warm. If you're out somewhere, you're not really going to need gloves during the daytime, but just have them with you when you're out and about if you're going to be out late because your hands aren't going to be cold. It does get very cool in the evenings, okay? But the knit hat, you're probably going to want that during the day because it's very windy. So you're going to want to protect your head. Then as far as pants are concerned, I brought several types of pants, starting with jeans, which I put if we were going to be out late at night, which we weren't very often in Ireland, I would layer those with the thermal pants, but otherwise you could just wear jeans and be perfectly comfortable. And then I also have a couple different types of athleisure type pants from Athleta and Lululemon, which were perfect. They were nice and thick, but again, if I felt like it was going to be a little bit too thin for like if it was very windy or something, I would layer it with my thermal pants and then it was perfect. And then the last thing that I have is basically just my makeup bag. I don't wear a ton of makeup, and in Ireland, again, you're gonna be out in the wind and rain all the time, so there's really no sense in trying to put a bunch of makeup on and wasting time doing that because you're not really gonna need it. So now that you know what's in my check bag, let's go ahead and go through my carry-on and my personal item. Okay, so you get one carry-on item and one personal item. This is what I use as my purse when we travel, and I love this bag because you can hold it this way, you can use it as a shoulder bag, and it also becomes a backpack. So this is a perfect bag for travel. It's absolutely my favorite. This is what I usually keep with me in the seat. I put it right under the seat in front of me on the plane, and this one usually goes in the overhead bin. I take this off and put it in here, and I'm ready to go. So let's go over real quick. Besides this being my purse, I've got my wallet and all that kind of pursey type stuff inside. But a couple other things I throw inside here, obviously my phone, and then headphones are very important, obviously, when you're doing a long haul flight like you would to Ireland from the United States. I love these Bose noise canceling headphones. They last about 8 hours on a full charge. I usually fly with 3 different sets of headsets or headphones because I don't want to run out of ways to listen to what I want to listen to. So those are really good. I love those. And then I also have a tablet. I use this for reading books, and I also have quite a few movies and TV shows and things like that on there. So I use that a lot. And then of course I have a couple of snacks in here. And like I said, I usually put this scarf, which I use sometimes as a wrap. I use this wrap as well and keep that in there, and this scarf, and then I usually take my bottle of water. So we'll start with that. On my backpack is I always have a bottle that I can refill with water. You can do that right at the airport, and while you're waiting, I always think it's important, especially on a long haul flight, to go ahead and hydrate. So I drink a couple of these before we get on the plane and go to the bathroom before I go too, so that I don't have to go right when I get onto the plane. So that's good. And most airports, you can find someplace very easily where you can refill it. So that's always good to have. The other thing that's important on long haul flights is compression socks. Okay, so I do get a lot of swelling, especially on these longer flights, like I said. And so I use the compression socks. I keep those in the side pocket of this bag so that I can access them easily. And then in this front pocket, I keep my food. So I have some Lara bars and power bars and things like that in here, but I also have some suckers and candy. I use those mostly on takeoff and landing because of my ears, and then sometimes I get a little bit nauseous when we're taking off, so I like to have a piece of candy. And then I like to have essential oil. I'm down to my last little bottle here. I guess I gotta get a refill. But I love essential oils because the airplane can smell a little bit funky sometimes. Let's say, basically all times. So it's nice to have a little something. I don't want to like funkify the whole plane with my essential oils because I am sensitive to those around me, but I do like to have a little something like just near me, a couple of drops. I don't anoint the whole plane with it. Also, I have some hand sanitizer because airplane, you're around everybody's germs and you want to clean your hands before you eat. You don't want to have to get up and go to the bathroom to wash your hands. It's easy to just clean them right there in the seat, and you've got them in case you get something sticky on you or whatever. Then the other thing that I keep in that front pocket is makeup removers, wipes, and I also have lip balm and moisturizer after I wash my face when we got on the plane. So after a couple hours before I'm planning on sleeping, I go ahead and wash my face and put a little moisturizer on. And then if we're landing at a time where we're gonna be up for a little bit, then I usually have makeup in here too. So I usually keep the mascara and some powder, just something real simple. And then I always have lotion just so I like to smell good. So that's kind of important to me. Then in this back part is all of my electronics. So here is my computer, and then I have this little it's a selfie stick, but it's really, I use it as a tripod most of the time. So it goes out just like that, and I put my phone right here, and it actually has a little remote trigger too, so I can set it off, and I use that for when I record time lapses on my phone. So this is a great little tool. Again, this is something you can very easily find on Amazon. And then in here, this is a reusable, resealable bag. And these you can use not just for things like cords and snacks and stuff like that, but you can use these also, you can put food directly into these bags. And I also saw in their ad that you can do liquids as well. I have not tried that, so I wouldn't try that at home, but I keep my cords in a separate bag. Makes it super easy when I'm trying to figure, oh, I gotta recharge my tablet or my phone or whatever. Then I've got all the cords here, super easy to access. And then let's see what else we have here. Ooh, I do have always an extra pair of glasses with me. I have a weird fear of not being able to see. So I always have an extra pair with me. And then another thing that I have in here is my wide angle lens for my phone. That's a fun accessory that I have. I don't use it a ton, but it is something that's nice to have. This is my gimbal that I use to stabilize my phone, which is clearly I'm not using right now, but I keep that in my backpack with me because of course that's an expensive item. Always keep the umbrella with me because when we land places, especially for some place like Ireland, there's a very good chance that it's going to be raining when you get there, so you've got your umbrella right away. And then for long haul flights, in this little bag is your lifesaver. All right, so this is a portable battery charger, all right? And this one actually charges 2 items at once. It can hold up to 13 hours of battery charge. So you can charge like 2 iPhones or an iPhone and a tablet at the same time on this battery pack, and it's fantastic. Has saved my hiney a couple times. You get on the plane sometimes and the charger in the seat in front of you is not working. This guy is gonna save you, all right? Because if your electronics run out of battery, you're gonna be bored to death on that long flight. So that's basically what's in my backpack. Let's take a look at what is in my husband's checked bag. All right, so it's always a lot easier to pack for a guy, right? So it's a lot simpler to pack for Rob for Ireland. So let's go over that here for just a second. So we've got the packing cube here for him, and he uses this one in particular for, he doesn't like to have as many of them as I do. I'm a little bit more OCD than he is. So I like to keep my stuff really compartmentalized. He's got his underwear and socks in here, and we keep about 10 days worth with us at all times. Same thing with him on the toiletry bag is make sure that it's that vinyl kind of material that you can just wipe. You don't want to have something that's just a cloth material or just like that backpack material. You want something that you can wipe down because you are going to get seepage from different liquids and things like that you have in your toiletry bag. When we travel, we always have an emergency, we call it our emergency pharmacy. And so it's like an emergency medicine cabinet essentially. So in here, we keep like our backup EpiPen, backup inhaler. We keep some amoxicillin, so some eye drops, some ear drops, all kinds of stuff that we keep in there just in case, because especially in Ireland, you're driving around, you do drive through a lot of towns. The problem is you're not always going to find a pharmacy that's open. So just have the stuff, things that you think you'll need in a pinch with you, like antibiotics, EpiPens, and inhalers and things like that. You can buy them in the stores there, in the pharmacies there. That's not the problem. The problem is trying to find one that's open when you have the emergency and need it. So we always keep these things with us, and as soon as we use one, we try to replace it so that we don't go without it. So that's important in Ireland. If you have any medical issues or if you have any medical needs, to make sure that you have the things that you need with you as you're traveling around so that you don't get caught without it, because you won't be able to just find it whenever and wherever. In this bag here, this is again one of those vacuum seal bags, and so in this one here is basically all of the shirts that Rob brought with him to Ireland, and he brought mostly just t-shirts because, well, we weren't really doing anything dressy there, and you don't have to dress up for any of the restaurants. So not that you would wear whatever, but you don't have to wear fancy clothes or anything like that. So he does have 2 collared shirts that he travels with anyways. And there were a couple of dry fit shirts, and then the rest of them are basically just t-shirts. So that's all of the shirts right there. It's got about a week's worth of t-shirts right there. But we did have, like I mentioned earlier, a washer in our Airbnb, so we were able to do laundry. But it's good to have options. Again, if you're layering, and then the other option is make sure you have enough so that if you have to change out, wet clothes for dry clothes. So that's why it's important to have enough stuff with you. Again, a knit hat is super important to have, and make sure it's got that lining on it so that you can keep your head nice and warm. And then Rob also has the same type of jacket that I had, that nice thin down jacket that folds up. He didn't have to use his quite as much when we were in Ireland. He was able to just layer up or wear like his lighter jacket. But this is a nice jacket to have, and it's real inexpensive. Like I said, we got those on Amazon and they were actually on a flash sale, so it was good to have them. In this bag here, we've got thermals and we've got the extra jacket and his gloves in here. And he did not have to use these when we were in Ireland, but we brought them just in case. He doesn't get anywhere near as cold as I do, but we brought these just in case because you never know. So it's better to bring them, and depending on your body temperature, you know, just kind of decide if you have room in your bag for them or not. We did have room in his bag, so we went ahead and put them in there. And then the last clothing items we'll talk about is pants, and we brought basically just jeans and long pants that he could have the option of layering with the thermals underneath, but he didn't end up having to do that at all in our time in Ireland. He just got away with basically just wearing long pants, and that was plenty. Then we also have an extra ball cap here for him. He usually carries one in his carry-on, which we'll look at next. And then we carry his full-size tripod with us as well, and so this is pretty heavy to carry on with you. You'll see all the stuff he carries on anyways, but this is really heavy, so we keep it in his bag. There's plenty of room in here anyways, and no one's ever stolen it, so it's kind of a big thing to steal anyways if they were going to take it out of the bag. I mean, this is just the head, the ball head of the tripod, so it's kind of a big bulky thing. And then I don't have enough room in my bag for my hair dryer, so I keep it in his bag. I'm not sure if he's ever even noticed that it's in there. But I use this one that I bought in Thailand because it's already a 220 plug, and so that way it makes it easy for me. I always keep this one whenever I travel. I already know it's 220, easy breezy, and you can plug it in anywhere when you're overseas. And the other thing in reference to that is we each carry one of these universal adapters, and this is an adapter, not a converter. So an adapter, you're going to be able to take your plug from home, plug it right in here, and then this turns into a plug from whatever country you're going to. All you have to do is change the little side buttons, and then that changes what you're able to stick out back here in the back to be able to plug right into the outlet for whatever country that you're in. So that's pretty cool. We each carry one of those in our bags when we travel because it makes our lives a lot easier. Make sure that the stuff that you bring converts to 220 or is already 220, like my hair dryer, because you're going to short out the circuits wherever you are if you don't have something. So if you're not sure, don't bring it, because you don't want to be that person that, you know, blows the circuit for your floor or your room or whatever. But let's take a look at Rob's carry-on bags. Okay, so before we go, let me show you real quick what is in Rob's backpack. And when I say real quick, it's going to be a minute because, well, take a look at all of the things. I don't know how he gets all of this into this backpack, but somehow he magically does. So let's talk real quick about that. So that's the backpack he carries. Always has his computer with him. And then the iPad he uses for entertainment on the plane. And then we also use it in conjunction with the Google Chromecast. When we travel, we use that for our entertainment at, you know, late at night when you want to watch TV or whatever, Netflix. That's how we cast, is we cast from the iPad. And then we've got a gaming system. We're using the Nintendo Switch right now. We've been, for the last year, we had traveled with the Sony PlayStation. The problem is it's just so bulky and so heavy, and you can already see there's so much here to carry that we've decided to go with the Nintendo Switch instead because it's smaller. Yeah, the options aren't the same, but you know, nonetheless, gives them something to do at night when you just want to, you know, relax and do something. Then let's take a look at his camera. He's a professional photographer, as many of you know, and he uses the Nikon D500 when we travel to shoot. And because we are limited on space, he's only been traveling with the 2 lenses. He's gotten some incredible shots with just those 2 lenses, so that's pretty amazing. And then as a backup camera, instead of using another DSLR, again because of the space, been using the Sony RX105. And this camera is actually really great. It's got some great functions to it. But one of the great things that we actually use it on a regular basis is to do some time lapses. Make sure you guys check out our time lapse videos because this is great for the time lapses. We throw this on the GorillaPod while he's doing his regular shots and I'm doing videos. So that's really nice to have. And then he's got his headphones. A headlamp is really good too. We use this a lot when we were like in Iceland doing the Northern Lights late at night, but this is also helpful in Ireland if you're out walking around somewhere like we were at, you know, Fanad Lighthouse after sunset. So this is helpful when you can kind of see where you're going, but it also helps you when you're doing photos at night. You can see the controls on the camera as well. And then we've got some ND filters here. We actually purchased this when we were in Romania. That's a pretty fun little souvenir to remember. He uses studio headphones. He prefers those on his ears. And then we've got all these wires. Sometimes it can be a challenge going through security because they see all of these electronics and I think they get frustrated sometimes. But really, I mean, you know, it's hard because sometimes they take all of it out. Sometimes they only take a little bit of it out. But really, when we come out on a good day, we probably only end up with like 3 trays worth of stuff. But on a bad day, they take literally everything out of the bag. The other thing is Rob uses this as his personal carry-on item. And this is the drone bag. So the drone is in here. It's the DJI Mavic Pro 2. And we've actually haven't had any problem whatsoever traveling with this drone. We basically go up, when he sets it up there, they just want it in a separate bin. So that's no big deal. They ask him what's in it. He says it's a drone. And then they just leave it alone. So that's actually pretty amazing. It's just the drone, the battery, and the controls are in here. So there's not a lot in there, probably because they can see real easily what's inside the bag. So that's basically all of this stuff is what Rob carries onto the plane. And, you know, with obviously good reason because it's all really expensive equipment and you don't want to put that kind of stuff into your checked bags. So I hope that this was very helpful for you as you're planning out your packing for your trip to Ireland. If this was helpful to you, give us a like and share a little bit about your trip with us in our comments as well. If you want to share this video with anyone that you know that's going to Ireland or you just want to pin it onto your Pinterest board, please feel free to use the share button to do that. And make sure that you subscribe as well. And we'll catch you on the next video. Happy travels.